Teach your child how to come up with possibilities. One of the first things the parent should try to instill in the child is the fact that decision-making is not about simply wanting something and going with the first choice or thought to acquire it. Teaching the child that there is a need to consider a lot of elements before the final decision is made will help the child make better and well-rounded decisions that are more likely to be accepted and followed willingly. Perhaps conducting a simple exercise where everything is noted down on paper would be a good start to help the child be more aware of the various aspects involved in good decision-making. By putting things down on paper, the child will be able to see clearly all the options and intended desired outcome and thus have a more informed picture of what may be required as part of the decision-making process. This will also help to encourage the child to note down as many possibilities that can contribute to a more effective decision-making process. Insisting that the child learn to approach each decision task with a few possible options will be one way of encouraging the child to think and explore in depth the elements that would be main contributing factors to the eventual decision-making. There is also the added advantage of the child learning to look out for as many different solutions as possible. What can happen? This part of the decision-making exercise may not be as much fun but would have to be considered nonetheless. This is to make the child understand that the decision-making task has many connecting facets. Even at a young age, the child should be taught the importance of weighing all the possible consequences of the decision made. This will help the child look at the eventual decision in a different light as they learn to understand that these decisions have corresponding consequences that they would have to live by. Ideally, the parent should start by teaching the child that any decision made would be solely based on the child's choice, thus making the responsibility of the outcome of the decision chosen also the responsibility of the child. There would also be the need to point out that any decision made without clearly weighing all options would be a bad way to start the decision-making exercise, as the probability of a poor outcome would be quite certain. Teaching a child to consider everyone who would be eventually affected by the decision is also one way of making the child weigh all the consequences adequately. Being careful to listen to one's needs and yet at the same time consider how these needs would affect others, will teach the child the invaluable lesson or habit of learning how to be considerate always. It is also a good idea to point out to the child that a decision that may seem negative presently may evolve into something more positive as the decision is allowed to run its course.